Hey, it's been a couple of days since I checked in, and things are just happening so fast for us that I haven't been able to just really keep up with you guys as far as our breakdown of the vehicles and the parts that we're selling, just because it happens boom, boom, boom. It just happens so fast. Pull it off the car, we post it, it sells, we got to pack it, and then another car comes up, and I got to go get it. It's just been doing this like for the last about a week and a half, and I actually end up winning another car on a local auction forum, and I made a huge mistake apparently, where I needed to pay it by a certain day, and if I don't pay it, then the car gets resold again, and then my account gets shut down. So as of right this moment, my account is frozen and I can't buy any more cars off of this particular website. And this is the one local website that I've been really successful with, in theory, because I've bought about 4 cars off of it already, including that one which I couldn't get. And that's because I got a lead on another car that I had to just jump on. As soon as I heard about it, we got a hold of the people, they're available, and then boom, we just made a 2,000-mile round trip in 48 hours. And here it is the 2005 RSX Type S. I think if any one of you had the chance at getting this vehicle, you would have just jumped on it right away, just like we did. It looks pretty decent here on the back, but once I get it out, you'll start to understand. Well, as you saw, it didn't have any wheels on it, and that's really because I hooked up my buddy. I can't be everywhere all of the time, but there's things that are available everywhere all of the time. I look to see where cars are, and if I happen to know somebody where that vehicle might be, then I hit my buddies up. Hey man, I got a car, can you go check it out for me? I got a lead from a friend of mine out in Arizona, and then I hit up one of my friends who was out in Arizona, and I had look at the car and also picked it up. It had the original 0506 wheels on it, but he thought that he could use those for one of his friend's cars, or one of his friends wanted to buy them or whatever. So on top of some money I gave him to go out and get the car for me, I gave him the wheels also. And now I don't have wheels, and that's what we're doing. We're dragging it out. So we put the car in the trailer with the wheels, took the wheels off in the trailer. But I have all these wheels from the CRVs over here, which will work. Looks like it has some decent coilovers front and back, and it does have some adjustable control arms here. I'm not sure the brand. That may matter as far as resale goes. One of my buddies was saying, hey, if you put the front end back on and repaint it, you'd probably, make $5,000 off of this car. But it does have a salvage title, and I think this car might be suitable for somebody who wants to make a race car. As in, the RSX bodies are starting to get a little bit more popular. I have a lot more people asking about those. And I think that might be because these cars were new when maybe the owners that are building them now were in high school. And I think that might be why it's getting a little bit more popular. Moving on, we got the car inside, and it looks pretty decent considering. This one we picked up for $1,250, but we had to drive almost 2,000 miles for it, and we got about $400 in fuel costs on this particular car. What's important when you're doing this, you have to think about all the costs involved. This one was $1,250. I didn't try to negotiate with the customer. I just thought it was a great deal, and I just wanted to jump on it. Because it was so far away, you really don't have a whole lot of power to negotiate in situations like that, because if they had to hold it for you, why would they hold it for less when they had somebody local that wanted to pay full price for it? At least their asking price. And if they wanted to, they could go on some kind of bidding war. Let's say if somebody contacted them and said, hey, I want to buy it at full price. Well, I have somebody that's coming already. Well, I'll give you $1,300 or $1,400 or something like that. And someone who's not buying it to resell like we are, that might be worth it to them, because if you try to find a Type S motor anywhere else, it's going to cost you thousands of dollars. So it would make sense to somebody who wants it for themselves to do that versus somebody who needs to maximize as much profit as possible, keep the costs down to make it even worth it. This particular customer said that they bought it because they were going to do a swap into an EG, and that's the only reason they bought it. I believe they bought it off auction. I'm not sure that they knew too much history about it either. And if you look here at the back wheel, it's hard to tell maybe on camera, but it looks like the camera's messed up back here. Maybe they hit something, and on the original wheel there was a good amount of road rash on this side. I'm not sure exactly what's going on here, because we are thinking about selling the body off. Like I was saying earlier, this could be a decently good looking car to make a race car out of. Looking under the engine, I like when it looks like this, when it looks stock. It doesn't really look messed with, especially if it has like the factory airbox. That means that it's probably not jacked up or have been raced super hard. So I'm confident about this. There was some oil pan damage on this one. Oil pan damage on K-Series is so prevalent that I actually stock steel replacement oil pans just for this case. Now the steel oil pans from the K24s or even the K20s will actually swap right over on this on the aluminum pan. That's something what a lot of people do just because like maybe they like the car super low, and when you crack an aluminum oil pan, which I've done, it actually cracked the crank girdle, and the crank girdle is machined with the block, and that's the split half of the crank main bearings, and you can't quite just replace that part. You would have to send the engine back to get line board and hope that the machining works out well. The T-bar is here, and it's not bent, but the lower radiator support does look a little messed up, and that could be just from them trying to jack it up in the wrong place. There wasn't a battery in it when we got it, or a radiator, so that was another reason why we didn't start it. I'm going to connect my GB150 here to send some power inside, and we could check to see how many miles are on it. And it's a baby. Got 155,000 miles. That's pretty good considering how old the car is. See what's in the trunk. We still have our headlights. That's cool. And these are the newer ones. People like the way those are. They look on these cars. And we have our cover here that helps sell motors. This right here, man. You want this. If you're able to ever get one of these engines by themselves, make sure you have that. People like that. It makes it look stock and makes them feel more confident about what it is that they're buying. It was an experiment to start buying cars like this. I wasn't sure if I had enough help or all the tools I'm going to need to do all this. A forklift certainly helps. That was one of my first investments when we started selling off engines and transmissions. But getting the entire car, that was a whole nother feat, and we just jumped right in because we don't really have a choice. When sales are down, and right now they are for us because we're still trying to set up our other steel equipment until we can start manufacturing that stuff, we got to pay the bills around here, and this is what we've been doing. And it's happening so fast. So many cars are coming up, I just have to keep buying. But I'm also running out of money, so that means I also have to get the cars in here as fast as possible and sold off as fast as possible. And sometimes that means selling them a little less than I'd want to or below market value, and that's only because I need to keep moving this stuff. So moving on, I think it's going to be maybe another day or two before I get back on this car because I have so many engines here right behind me that I have to break down and pack. I've sold some transmission already, and we got to take it over here to our shipping department and load it up on a pallet. So I'll see you probably back in a few days. Just as promised, we are back on the RSX. We've had a really good weekend. We were able to get rid of most of the stuff that we have. The transmission out of the EP3, it could have been better. It turns out it's going to need 2 casings, an outer and an inner. I end up finding an inner on eBay, and we'll piece it together out of some other parts. And so now we still got to make our wrench, so we got to slam this stuff out. Well, there's the oil pan damage. I didn't realize it was this extensive, and that could make a lot of people a little bit scared to buy this, but if you're able to see up in there, it's really clean, and I'm pretty confident about this engine. Being that bad is not going to keep us at least from doing our compression tests, and to do that, all we're going to do is disconnect the ECU, and what that's going to do is it's going to power down the coil packs and keep the injectors from firing. All that stuff needs to come out anyway, so it's not going to be any more work than we. For those of you that may be unaware, the ECU is located under the passenger side glove box. There is a kick panel that pops down. There's a couple of clips here that hold it in place. take those down, then the cover will come off and it exposes the computer right there. The computer is held on by 3 10mm bolts, and you'll want to take care with taking the harness off. This is going to be valuable to somebody that may want to use this harness for a swap in the future. If this was a 2002 to 2004 Acura RSX Type S, this would be the ECU that everybody that's using K-Pro would want. The 2005 to 2006 isn't sought out after. It's just a different configuration. That fortunately there is a compatible program out there, and that's called K-Tuner. Not only is K-Tuner a viable program for this platform, it also comes with an affordable price. It will also operate the countershaft speed sensor, which is on this particular transmission. So if you were going to do a swap, you could pull this whole engine, transmission, wiring harness, and ECU, and you could still swap it in your EG or your EK or whatever it is that you may want to put on it, and not have to worry about finding a program to operate it, because K-Tuner is here to save your day. We have the ECU unplugged, we have our spark plugs and coil packs all removed, and we have our compression gauge installed. It has taken us a couple of days to get to this point right now. Because we have so much wrapped up into this car, we really need to maximize our profit off of this. So that means we got to take things really slow and make sure that everything is really nice. The more I look at this car, the more I wish I was in a better position to where I would just keep it. It's super nice, and I hope that someone would appreciate what we found when they turn it into the car of their race dreams, I suppose. The engine's about out, and now we have the catalytic converter out, and this is OEM, and this has really changed the dynamic of the way that we buy and purchase cars. There's an entire industry of just recycling these, and what you get for them will really depend on your volume and who you work with. From our minimal experience, it looks like we'd have to be somewhat of a junkyard in terms of the volume. The reason they're recycling these is because the life of the vehicle, it's constantly catalyzing the exhaust, and internally it's developing precious metals such as platinum, and that's really what they're after. But because we know that this is an OEM cat and it's got plenty of miles on it, it's going to be of a decent value to us, and that certainly helps our bottom end. Another great thing about the 2005, 2006, and K-Tuner is this primary oxygen sensor. Actually a wideband. It will actually register right into your data log right there on your computer. Yesterday was a very busy day. We ended up selling the transmission, we sold the wiring harness, we sold the ECU. It was good to get stuff out of here, because like I was saying, we just need to get stuff going right away. And we actually ended up selling a little bit more stuff off of this car that I wasn't aware of, which is nice that I had the car and chassis a little bit longer. So we're able to make an extra couple $100. The taillights on these for the 05 versions people like, and I thought that they did look a little bit different than the newer models, so I was able to sell those off. And then we had a customer that was missing the wing. We might end up keeping this hatch because it's in good shape, and I know this little guy right here has got to be something different. I'll have to do a little bit more research on that. And all, like, if you have the capabilities to be able to hold the car for a while, and I explained before that I just need to get rapid sales because we don't have a whole lot of capital just to be able to sit on projects like this, and the room now. Moving on, now we have the engine left, and this was the damage that we saw from underneath. It looks pretty good, so we're just going to go ahead and get this pan off and see what's going on in there. See where the remnants went, at least. It looks really, really clean in here, well taken care of. And I'm saying that because of the oil really caked on or discolored or just really dirty. That would indicate that they didn't take very good care of this, and you could just see how really nice it is and really clean. I did find a good sized chunk here, just sitting right here on top. The rest of it could have just fallen out somewhere outside of the vehicle. We'll just go ahead and pull this windage tray out here and just take a quick look in there to make sure everything's gone and out of there. Man, that's looking good. I mean, this thing is so minty. Minty. Somebody's going to be just killing it with this build. Oh, can you hear all that compression? Woo! Woo! Listen to that bad boy. that's just beautiful. I'm not seeing any debris in here whatsoever. It just looks gorgeous in here. Somebody's going to be ripping it. The steel oil pan conversion is pretty easy. There's no gasket. It's just like a Honda Bond material. We're going to be using Ultra Gray from Permatex. The only other thing that we need to do is change to smaller in-length bolts. The aluminum oil pan uses longer bolts, and that would be essentially the only difference here. We're just scraping off all the old Honda Bond that's on here, and then we'll be ready to swap over. This right here is the bolt length for the aluminum pan right there. We got a little measuring device here, and it shows that it's 30 millimeters in length. And then we're going to be swapping to one that's 16 millimeters in length. This, we're using the socket head because this is just what we have in stock. We don't have any hex heads. And so if you wanted to know the name of these Allen heads, that's what they're actually called in the industry. They're called socket head cap screws, to be more specific. Well, the engine's all cleaned up now, put together. We got it listed. It's looking great. Now it really comes the waiting game. How long will this take to sell? I'm not sure. If it was a K24A2, which comes out of the TSX, it'd probably sell the same day. That's the one that people really want. The K20s have been proven to make 500, 600, 700 horsepower stock. Don't quote me on the 700 horsepower part. But the next in line is trying to figure out what we're going to do with the rest of the chassis. I got a lot of cars we got to move out of here, so we're going to put the suspension back on it, roll it out, and then try to figure out what we're going to do with all the cars, being that this one has no suspension whatsoever. I think we're just end up dragging it out with our forklift. Hey guys, thank you for watching that one. I just got finished editing, and that was a little bit anticlimactic, I guess, and a bit monotone, so I'm sorry about that. But after watching that, there could have been more stuff I could have added in that video, but a lot of that stuff has already been covered in many of our other videos right here on our channel. And you want to be looking for how to yard. All that stuff, there's a lot of information up in there, so I really appreciate you guys watching, and maybe you should check out some more. But the reason I'm adding this little addition here is because, look, that's the car we just dismantled in that video, and now it's running. As I was explaining in the video, I wasn't sure what we were going to do with the chassis, but look at it. We put it all together. It didn't come in with the front end on, but the customer that ended up wanting to buy this chassis actually had this bumper, and it was the same color. He had us take everything out of his 04 RSX and put it into this 2005 RSX Type S, and it's just running really good, and it cleaned up really well considering. If we look inside the interior, we vacuumed it up, we got it all cleaned out, and he was very happy with it. He's actually getting ready to come pick it up right now. Some of you might question, why didn't we just sell the car as it was? Well, the vehicle did have a salvage title on it, and I just didn't want to get beat up over the price trying to sell off the chassis with the running engine and transmission. Most are just going to want that engine and transmission anyway, so that's the reason why we did that. But we end up getting a little bit of additional labor out of this job anyways, and the car's going to go home to a very happy customer. He's really happy with what he got, and I'm excited for him to see it. And guys, thank you very much for watching our channel, and we do have some more that are coming up. As always, happy tuning. Go for it.